Good evening. Today is Monday, June the 1st, 2026. It is 7 p.m. I'd like to call the regular Board of Selectmen's meeting to order.
Troy Lemire.
Kevin Bishop, Paul Marino.
Paul Harrington.
Todd Archelashi.
Glenn Albanesius.
William Hester.
Cheryl Heffernan McGlynn.
William Pozo.
Please join me for pledge allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3, agenda review. Does anyone have anything? Seeing nothing. Item 4, the approval of minutes of the regular meeting on May the 18th.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Cheryl. Any discussion, corrections, additions? Seeing none. All in favor? Unanimous. Meeting minutes are approved. Item number 5, citizens' comments. The Board of Selectmen welcomes public comments. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes and may speak once this round. Please give your name and address. There's a sign-up sheet up here, so after you speak, please sign. Would anyone like to speak?
Mine's longer than 3 minutes, so.
Okay. Anyone else? And Mr. Knoll just hit the red button on the microphone to turn it on so everybody can hear you.
What are we gonna do?
Hit the red button, the microphone picture. There you go.
Yeah, I was looking for a green button.
We should put the sign-up sheet on the side table so that people can sign up and then speak rather than have to sign up once they get there.
Good evening. Well, you know why I'm here again. You can guess, huh?
We have looked into that, but go ahead, continue.
I want to know how far along you are on naming New Street. After, name it Veterans Road, Veteran Street, Veteran Boulevard. I talked, the town manager was supposed to get back to me a month ago, and never did. But I imagine you're busy. But where do we stand on renaming
Talk about
it?
the ordinance.
I want to refresh my, and first off, Mr. Colon, I apologize. I thought the mayor was going to email you back, but let's do this. We'll get a response out to you immediately tomorrow. We looked into the ordinance. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mayor. The ordinance for the town is going to prohibit us from renaming that street.
Why?
So we have a naming ordinance that it has to go through
Act of Congress?
in your words, but I guess that would be an accurate
I just
depiction.
want to name it. I talked to Jay Case about naming the bridge after the 2 Medal of Honor winners that are up in Forest View Cemetery. And if you walk through those cemeteries, if you walk through any of those cemeteries, you see the flags, you walk through any of the cemetery and a flag. And some of the board members used to be veterans. Mr. Ficari was a veteran. A lot of people have been, that sat in those chairs. And it takes that long.
It does.
Not as easy as just
Well,
renaming
why
the
didn't you
street.
say that,
Because
I've been here
we
5
looked-
times, over 4 years.
Yeah, you have.
May I suggest the 3 of us this week, next week, whatever your availability is, the mayor's availability, I'm always here. One of the 3 of us sit down and we can go through everything with you. Does that work for you? I can reach out to you, we can set up a
Have you
time.
got plans to rename it for somebody else?
No. Nope.
No? All right, the reason I ask is because, never mind, I'll probably know why. But I don't understand why it takes so long. I mean, I could pack this place full of veterans every week. until we get a decision. Is it up to these people? Is it up to the other?
It ties back to the ordinance and the reason of why it's changing. And I don't think the mayor, myself, or anybody, and I don't want to speak for the board, doesn't want to do everything they can for a veteran. It's just a matter of the ordinance that is existent on the books in order to actually change the name of a street.
What's the ordinance say?
There has to be, and I want to quote it correctly. The ordinance says there has to be more than a reason to rename a street. There has to be committees that form, there has to be signatures.
Who named it New Street?
Maybe the developer
I mean,
at the
that's
time.
all about 4/8 of a mile.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to speak for the board, but I don't think there's anybody up here that isn't thinking that the idea of renaming the street for a veteran's organization is a horrible idea. I think everybody will think it's a great idea. It's just a matter of what the ordinance allows us to do as
Well,
a
who changed the
municipality.
ordinance? Who can change the ordinance?
This board of selectmen can change the ordinance, and that's something that the mayor and I
Well,
have
why don't we
started
take
to
a
talk
vote
about.
tonight?
Well, believe it or not, to even do that, it would require more than just one meeting tonight.
So could you?
So it's gotta be an act of Congress.
Could you get that information? I actually, since I'm a history buff, I look back and
Be aware of the
I've had a
time.
family member fight in almost every single conflict this United States has been, all the way back to the Revolutionary War. I'd like to see this happen if we
Well,
can
my
get this.
father was at Pearl Harbor when they
My
bombed Pearl Harbor.
grandfather
My
was
brother
in
was
World
in
War I,
Vietnam.
my
I got
father
two
was in
Purple
World War
Hearts at
II, I have a
home.
brother served in
Nobody wants a
Vietnam.
Purple Heart anyway,
No.
but I got two of them.
So let's see if we
Not
can.
me,
Let's see.
they do.
Let's see what the ordinance is. I'll look it up too when we get home.
And I
Let's-
marched in the
let's get this
parade with
done.
guys that had Purple
Let's
Hearts.
see what we can do about this.
And you say, thank you for your service, thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we make that as an agenda item for next meeting?
Yes.
I'll second that.
Yes,
Thank
please
you.
do.
Agenda item is just renaming New Street or renaming
Well, what-
any of
What
our
is
have
the
to follow
process?
The research for
The
finding
research
out what
for
we have to do.
changing, yes,
What needs to be done to accomplish that?
yes, please.
So let's get the ordinance out, let's see what it says.
And change the ordinance. if
Change your,
necessary.
and then
if we
just
have to,
so we're going down the road, and Mr. Posey, you'll remember this, when we were looking at, or when the Parks Commission was looking at possibly changing the building's name, that ordinance had come into play. The Parks Commission saw the quote-unquote act of Congress that it was gonna take, and we didn't rename the building, we just put up a plaque honoring.
We found a way around it.
Yeah, we honoring
But
him.
let's
So do
look
we
at
wanna
it.
just not only look at streets, but also, look at buildings, and
Buildings and
naming
rights.
rights, I guess, is what we're looking at.
Do it the right
totally.
way.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so look at the whole thing.
Please.
Done.
Who else wishes to speak? All right, so come up and try to make it as close to 3 minutes as possible. There are 2 sections, so you can do some of it, the first section, and,
I'm gonna condense it.
okay.
I can do that.
So, thanks. I'd like to share some thoughts about the budget development process and the recent vote.
Can you give us your name, please?
Oh,
Name and
sorry,
address.
I wrote it in my phone.
Thank you.
Marion Mayer on 111 Birdsall. My husband and I agree we would have liked to vote on the budget that was originally presented by the town manager with the higher education amount requested by the school superintendent. We both were disappointed to see the education portion reduced so dramatically. My husband voted no because he rejected the proposed budget as too low. I voted yes because I could not see any way that this board would put forth a higher budget amount in the next vote if this one was rejected. So we canceled each other out. As the budget's being developed, the public can provide feedback at the regular Board of Selectmen meetings, or via email, or in casual conversations around town with individual Board of Selectmen members. Many people emailed and came to the meetings to request the education budget not be reduced, or at least to let the voters decide if the original budget was too high. Several Board of Selectmen members described conversations in the community in which people expressed frustration about the town roads and about not wanting to pay higher taxes. These private feedback conversations seem to have a greater impact on the board's decision about reducing the budget than the feedback presented at the Board of Selectmen meetings. I'm not sure why. Maybe these folks offering private feedback do watch the Board of Selectmen meetings on YouTube, but if not, I encourage them to do so or attend the meetings in person. It's been my experience, as someone waiting until later in life to start attending town meetings, that doing so is eye-opening. Hearing why road repairs go so slowly, and what exactly is the education program losing as this budget is reduced, makes all the difference. It's easier to let off steam in a private conversation than it is to find an actual solution within the parameters of state mandates, grant limitations, inflation, equipment failures, or staff shortages. I ask you, our Board of Selectmen, to urge those who share their frustrations with you privately to come to Board of Selectmen meetings and be part of an informed solution for the sake of this town. Thank you.
Can't spell my own name. I passed my time to this young lady.
It's okay, I'm gonna do the condensed version. I think I can get my point across that way. You want my full address?
Street address for the
Street
record, yeah.
address? Okay. Okay. Hi, my name is Caitlin LaPlante. Some of you know who I am. I've corresponded with some of you. I've lived in Winstead for over 6 years with my husband and 2 small children, ages 4 and 10 months. We signed up our 4-year-old son for the lottery for the preschool program this year, as we are paying what amounts to a second mortgage for him to go to preschool and be school ready. My husband and I both work full-time, so we do not qualify for any income-based programs, and we are on a lengthy wait list for others. It goes without saying, we were not selected thanks to the cuts the Board of Selectmen made to the education budget. When inquiring about our place on the wait list, it was clarified to me that my son would have gotten a spot had the cuts not been made. And there even may not have been a need for a tuition requirement. We now need to continue to live paycheck to paycheck to make sure our child is ready for kindergarten and does not stay back a year because we cannot afford it. I am just one of many families that were directly and negatively impacted by your actions. These families lost the opportunity for their child to go to what was a free program in their own district and one of the best in the state. I would have much rather taken that amount of money that I am paying right now for his preschool in another town and put it towards these educational programs for my child to go to school here and for him to have the best teachers and resources available to him. I am sure I am not alone in that. I'm going to skip condensed. Do I believe you did the best you could on this budget with what you had? No, I don't. And I'll tell you why. No one who prioritizes what's important to the taxpayers and truly felt they did right by them would ever threaten them to vote yes on this or else. That kind of behavior is very distasteful. You knew we were unhappy and did not care. Mismanagement of the budget every year needs to stop because right now you are cutting and ruining programs that are actually bringing people to Winstead. Just this past weekend, I heard a few stories of families looking to move into another town in direct response to this budget. And a business that was right in the center of town left and is now running their business out of New Hartford. I hope I'm wrong, but I think with this budget, we can expect more of this over the next year. You have an opportunity to start a clean slate this year, and I suggest that we all can take it. Referendums are gonna happen. It's healthy, it's part of the process. And there are people who are just gonna vote no on a budget because that's what they do. You're never gonna find a town that's not gonna vote no on a budget. it still does not make what you did this year right. Because if you did right by us, the families, we probably would have stood by you and worked with you. And even if we had one referendum, come back to the table. We would have worked something out with you. And I think that's why a lot of people did not come out to vote this year. 10,000 registered voters in Winston, Connecticut, and only slightly over 1,000 showed up. That should speak volumes to you. As Paul Harrington did a great job revamping the website to make it user-friendly, easy to navigate, he got people access to Everbridge so that they would get news and alerts about the meetings and about the vote. I knew about it better than any other years I've been here. But even I announced on social media that I wasn't going to vote for this budget, because when you're told how to vote, or you're told what's going to happen if you vote a certain way, why bother? Why? Don't waste my time. I'm not anybody's puppet. I don't like that. And we could have voted no out of spite, I suppose, but I have children to think about and their future. And I did not appreciate the position that I was put in by being told more cuts would come if this budget did not pass. I'll end with this. You were hired by us. You work for all of us, not just the people who agree with you. And since last year, there has been a growing gap between this board and the residents of Winsted. And it's become a distraction from what actually matters: our kids, our schools, and the future of this town. And I implore you to think about that for next year's vote. Thank you. I hope that was 3 minutes.
Who else would like to speak? Anyone else?
Hi, I'm John Probuznek, 281 Grantville Road in Winchester. I'm looking here, I'm jumping a little bit ahead because I see later on you're having an executive session, but agenda item B under new business, you're going to be talking about roads and sidewalks. So I'm not sure what's coming out of that, but I don't know if I'll be here for the other executive session, so let me be a little premature. I've watched a few of the selectmen meetings. A while back, Selectman Marino mentioned, let's take care of the majority roads. My background is in production planning, and I think there's a rule that applies. There is something called the 80-20 rule. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that, Pareto analysis. Basically what I'm asking is, can we look at it in terms of the fact that 80% of the people are going to drive the same 20% of the roads, or 90-10, or whatever the breakdown is? So if we prioritize the roads, let's try to do that. I mean, last time I saw Cornelia Avenue being on the list to be done. Now, Cornelia Avenue to me is a driveway, if you know what I'm saying. It's 2 houses, a bunch of empty lots. Nobody uses it. Granted, it's in terrible shape. However, you look at a Newfield Road, a South Road, some of the other major roads, 80% of the people in Winchester are going to use that road. The only advantage I'd see in you not doing it, it's going to force people to come to Winsted instead of Torrington to shop. And I mean that a little sarcastically. But if we can do that in our analysis, and I know, Paul, I apologize to you because you've got this coming up with what you're doing with Jim, but if that is in consideration in your calculation, not just condition of roads, but a weighted factor type thing. Thank you. And I also want to thank everybody for all the work they did on the budget. It's not easy. As our mayor said at the town meeting, you're going to make some people happy. You're going to make other people miserable no matter what you do. But thank you for your effort on that. Thanks.
Anyone else like to speak? Moving on to item number 6, town manager's report. We have a 2-weeker.
We got a
Two-meeter.
4-weeker. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, board. Again, I do apologize for my absence 2 weeks ago. I went down, and it was not fun. So I thought about it, but I'm going to give a short town manager's report, but just update the board on as much as I can. Obviously, the big news is the fiscal year 26-27 budget was successfully approved by the voters. The town is now preparing the implementation of that new fiscal year to have it all ready to go on July 1st. Moving on, automatic, the traffic enforcement, the speed camera program, we haven't talked about it in a while. We all know several weeks ago, we did get the approval from CTDOT allowing us to put the cameras up. Because we are going on state roads, in particular 44, now becomes the encroachment and permits, the permits to put this stuff up on Main Street. I'm not saying it's a problem, I'm just saying it's the process we have to go through. I see some people shaking their head out there. They must have worked with the Connecticut DOT in the past. It's not the easiest process. You kind of get put back, but the other issue that we came up with is the one that's going to be located more in the center of town. There's some trees that may be blocking the solar, so when we are putting these cameras up, we are looking to also potentially electrify that camera as well. You won't know that the solar is going to give all the power that it needs different times of year. So that's not slowing down the process, just that you know that the cameras are going to look a little bit different. The one down by the dry dam is going to look a little bit different than this one because we know the one at dry dam will work 100% on solar. This one down here is a slight tree covering. We're just overthinking the process, or I should say site stream is. With all that being said, the goal is to have these cameras up and running and issuing actual citations in July, the end of July, which means by the end of June, we should have the cameras up and installed in Main Street around 44, I apologize. So just a small update on that. It's been quiet, but there's a lot of work working in the background, including hearing officers, the whole appeals process online, getting the citation perfected, all of that stuff. So it's still work being done. And as we get closer and closer to the speed cameras launching, of course, I'll update the board. Moving on, Safe Streets for All, we pretty much pounded that as much as we possibly could because the survey closed on May 30th. Our consultants, Ty and Bond, they said we are very similar with other communities, in fact, larger communities, of the amount of participation that we got in the survey. So I want to thank all of the residents, the Board of Selectmen, because I know they also helped with that. What that survey is going to do is it's going to help us unlock federal and state grants to get these roads paved and worked on. Tremendous work by a lot of residents that went out. I see a few of them in the back, literally had flyers, were doing it, and geez, they did so much work to try and get the word out, to get people to participate in the survey. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but once this report is done, the $250,000 report that we got a grant for, will allow us to now apply for federal and state grants because we have the data to back it up. So congrats to the community. On some good news, the Winchester Fire Department was awarded 2 grants to support firefighting within the community. Northwest Community Bank Foundation awarded $5,000 for the purchase of smoke and carbon monoxide detectors to be distributed and installed for residents in need. So if you're a resident in need, and simply, and I'll put this out there, smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors, they're only good for 10 years, okay? The battery should be replaced, obviously, when you switch to clocks, but the sensors, and there's nothing that the smoke detector is going to tell you that it's old. You gotta look at the install date or the manufacturer date. It's gonna be on literally the back side of it. You'll learn a lot when you talk to your chief of firefighting. The date on the back of it will tell you the age of it. If your smoke detector or carbon monoxide detector is more than 10 years old, your family's at risk. If you're in need, please reach out to our fire department. We got a $5,000 grant to help you guys get smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. So that's important. And another grant, In First Responders Foundation awarded $1,450 for firefighter accountability tags, which will enhance the department's ability to monitor personnel during emergency scenarios. So firefighters in the building, there's smoke, we may need to locate that particular firefighter. This grant's gonna allow us to unlock the tags that we know where the firefighters are. So thank you to both those organizations. I know our fire department and our residents appreciate it. Main Street roadway restoration project. Fortunately, it's a little bit delayed tonight. I'm sure as you were driving in, you saw that the milling that was done in front of Town Hall, CTDOT, along with Eversource, began this project last night. The goal is to take small sections, do each small section. Already, they've gone back a little bit on the word. It was supposed to be mill and pave the same night. It was a big surprise this morning when I just saw mill and no pave. I reached out, I've gotten no phone call back, so tomorrow I become the one that everybody knows that it can be, that, okay, where's the pave? But that is gonna continue all the way through Saturday night, keeping in mind the parking ban is in effect from 6 p.m. to 5 a.m. Small sections. If you're on Main Street, make sure you're on the Riverside tonight, because they're gonna be right out in front of Town Hall, continuing where the milling is, or paving where the milling is tonight. So that goes through Saturday. Huge one, we did put it out on our channels, is we completed the $850,000 federal funded public safety communication upgrade, which provided 800 band radios for Connecticut's landline mobile radio network, which means our radios in Winsted can actually talk down to Fairfield County because they're on the 800 band, or anywhere else in the state of Connecticut. Real huge appreciation goes out to Senator Chris Murphy and Richard Blumenthal, because those are the two senators that got us the $850,000. Roughly, that's $1 million if we had to go out and fund these radios. It was something that we need. I don't think there's anybody that doesn't think the police should be able to communicate with other police or back to dispatch, fire, ambulance, all of it. So those two senators, big thank you, because they were able to get us $850,000 to be able to upgrade our radios to this 800 band. And last but not least, 2027 revaluation services RFP is live. We are going to have to go to revalve. The revalve is going to start in the fall. We're gonna bring them in and they're gonna start revalve, but that doesn't take effect until the 29 budget, okay? So it's a revalve by state law. We have to do it every 5 years. Just wanted to let people know that the revalve services RFP is out and it's live. Any firm that's interested, please look on our website and submit to do a revalve. With that, I'll open it for any questions.
Before we start, Mr. Town Manager, your contract expired in April, so at the next meeting, please add executive session for your review and contract negotiations. And bring with us some goals that you hope to accomplish next year.
And you guys did the whole agenda for next week. I will get that done.
Any questions on the board?
I got one question, one statement. First question, speed cameras, are they going on the light poles? Are they going on the telephone poles?
They're going on its own separate pole.
Okay.
They go on their own little pole, and that's
So,
why we need the encroachment permit for the
There's a tree in the
DOT.
way, why can't you just move the pole?
Interesting you say that, because the Connecticut DOT only gives you about 50 feet from where you actually submitted to put the pole. Any variance of 50 feet, we have to go back to the drawing board. Already asked that question.
And the statement I want to make is, I would hesitate on pushing the DOT to pave small sections of Main Street, because the cold joint is going to cause a bump all the way down Main Street. So you're better off having them mill the whole thing and pave the whole thing. Because it's going to be, cold seams are going to, I don't care how good the paving company is, it's not going to be good.
So it's a cold joint?
Yeah, if you go one night to the next, it's a cold joint, and they're not gonna cut it, they're gonna lay right up to it. They usually put a piece of paper and whatever and a little bit of tar on it to make a ramp, and it's gonna be a bump. So I would recommend, from my experience, to let them
Mill
mill
it
the
all?
whole thing and then pave the whole thing. That's just my input.
Other questions?
Seems like you get a better job if you do that.
It is a better job.
Our thought was we want to disrupt, well, it was actually, the contractor and the DOT came back with the suggestion of doing small little sections at a time to not disrupt the businesses, because they're starting at 6 o'clock at night, and that's why they wanted to mill and then they wanted to pave. But
understand why
maybe
you
there
wanna
was
do
a
that, but-
decision that was made that the town hasn't been looped in yet, because they had said they were going to mill and pave. I was surprised when I came in this morning and saw that the road was just milled and not
Hopefully
paved.
somebody's
But again, phone calls were made, no response yet, but it's literally a post-it note on my monitor to take care of.
You said they're supposed to start paving at 6 o'clock, working on them. They're not working.
And they're not working right now either.
No.
It's
And
a
the
beautiful
dump trucks
night.
are empty, so that are on Main Street, so they're gonna mill.
Do you see dump trucks? I didn't get a chance to
The
step
dump
out there and
trucks when they
check.
came in, parked on the side of the road.
So they're gonna mill then. If they're empty dump trucks, then they're gonna mill tonight.
That's what you want. I mean, they're putting down 4 inches. It's pretty thick, so it's not gonna be good. They should do a binder and then put the finish coat on it.
I agree with that. All right.
So I had a question. What is the timeline with Wallens Hill? I know we had proposals. Where are we with that?
I have all the proposals upstairs. I have the Goldman in York study as well. I want to get through the budget process, but that was going to be on the agenda for next meeting as well. Start to begin to talk about that. One of the questions, and I'm glad you brought that up, with Wallens Hill, Goldman in York did do a big dive into it. Would you like the representative from Goldman in York to be here, or would you like to receive the information at the next meeting, take time to review it, come back with questions? Perhaps we can have Goldman in York come to a following meeting or a meeting after that.
Well, I'd like to see the process move along a little faster than we've been doing it. I actually expected on this week's agenda. So if we can get the documentation earlier, all right, put it on the agenda for next week, have the individual here so we can question, we should all do our due diligence and be prepared to discuss it with them next week. Next
Can
2
you-
weeks, you know?
Can you give us the information in the middle of the week so we have time to review it at home before
As
the
soon as
meeting?
possible.
If you like, you all can come up to my office after the meeting and take it all home with you. It's in boxes, and I can give each one of you, actually, each one of the proposal. How's that?
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Great.
Other questions?
Yep, I think we're kind of moving in the right direction, because I think we need grand list growth, and that's the only way we're gonna move anything forward in this town. So when's the, Paul, when's the plan of conservation and development? When is that due?
it's every 10 years, so we're probably got,
I think 21 was the last.
21 was the last one that was done.
So 2031?
2031, yes.
Okay, so I just want to share some stuff what's starting to happen with the EDC, what they've actually been working on. I read their report. So the old Cumberland Farms is going to get a New York-style deli and market, so that's going to be coming into town shortly. There's possible some affordable housing behind the Mad River Detail. That's in the works with the EDC. The mobile home park is also getting 2 more units. There's a Forsaken Land Haunted Attractions that's trying to come into town. I know that's in front of planning and zoning right now. And obviously, everybody knows that Skipper's is open, and also the Laurel City Gardens is open. So I think that's where our answer is growing that grand list. And I'd like to see something on the agenda. Again, we're gonna fill up your agenda. At least some type of report if there's nothing that's happening, instead, so that everybody can see what's happening with the EDC and the planning and zoning, because that's where we're gonna be able to grow the town, keep moving forward, is grow that grand list. I've said it before, I'll say it again, 400 homes at $5,000 each is $2 million. It's not a far stretch, it's just gonna take a little time to get there, but I think we can get there slowly and methodically. So, especially with the Wallens Hill, some other stuff that's happening in town, that's not even counting 508 and 510 Main Street. I know there's a hiccup there because it's in series, so you kill power to one building, you're gonna kill a bunch of them. Remember the old Christmas lights? One blows out, they all go out. That's a series, by the way, and can't forget the old Highland Acres is being redeveloped. So there is some growth going, but I think everybody needs to know it a little bit more and get it out there. So there is things happening. We're not just up here doing nothing and cutting budgets or whatever. We are trying to grow and keep moving. I liked what John said. I actually was gonna bring that myself about switching some of the roads around, get some of these important roads done first, not ones that's way out, not that that doesn't matter so much. And then maybe it came up in one of the other discussions, especially Danbury Quarter Road on the Norfolk line. Oh my God, it's horrible. We'd be better off just ripping it right down and put it to dirt. It would be better and easier to maintain. I know we've talked about that a couple of times before, so.
To piggyback on what Selectman Hester spoke about, we've got a number of vacant commercial buildings on Main Street to which there's supposedly plans on. I know apparently 508's had some hiccups.
Yep.
And they didn't start when they're supposed to. I know we have that contractor agreement too, that's supposed to be done in November. I'd kind of like to have the public to be informed about actually what's going on there. But what's going on with the other buildings? There's been years in the progress. They've been purchased, they've been sitting there, nothing's happening. I don't know who's responsible for that. Who can we bring, into this meeting to discuss what the process is, why there's delays, why there's not being incentives made so that there's progress? So if we can address that, because I'm sure you don't have all the answers at the tip of your tongue, but, I think, again, we're trying to build the town. We can't do it if we're just letting people sit on these properties that are just rotting on Main Street, which affects the attractiveness, it affects our mill rate, it affects everything about this town.
Right, it's sad that the Gilson, which used to be the Strand, and that's where I used to do Saturday matinees when I was a kid. That's the first time I saw Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It was right down here in downtown Winston. It's sad that it's gone, but at least we're trying,
I think we could have done a lot more to help the Gilson exist,
Those
but we didn't.
buildings, sorry, those buildings along the river, I think those are the ones you're talking about, right? Along the Mad River, yeah. Is there any way that we could go through, like, building by building and find out, like, what the deal is with each one? Because, I mean, we do need development, but it would be great to fill and reuse the things that are already developed before we start, destroying our landscape and beautiful surroundings with new development. So, I feel like, and they're being so downtown, like, what can we do? What are the steps we need to take to know, like, each and every building, like, what the deal is and how we get it moving?
We need to tell Paul to do it.
I think we just sort of did.
Yeah, I think we just
But
did.
I know the buildings across, it's the bar grant. I remember you brought it up last time. We have to wait for that. Because there was old factories there. There's a good possibility the ground is contaminated. And that's a giant thing right there. I'm actually dealing with something like that myself at work with contamination ground. And it's not even from the gasoline spill that they had. So, yeah, and we also have to remember that some of those buildings that's private property. That's somebody else's buildings. I saw the word eminent domain today on Facebook and I just shrugged and it's like, no, we really don't want to go down that road. That's not good. That's really overstepping boundaries. But they are private buildings and, maybe we could reach out to whoever owns them, find out what's happening.
Any other comments for the town manager?
If I could respond to a few. So I think the board is lockstep with the town manager's office. So EDC is scheduled to come to the July 6th meeting. They're doing some wonderful things they want to share with the board.
Good.
Some of the stuff that we're doing to advertise the town, they want to update the board, so they are scheduled for the July 6th meeting. And then to the questions about what is commonly known as the legacy buildings, they were dubbed that, I think, when I first got here. I made that as the public name. So right now, we are currently in the bar grant with the COG. And what the bar grant is figuring out right now is it's going in and figuring out what exact remediation needs to be done to those buildings to either create retail and or housing into any of those buildings. So until we have those answers on the bar grant and we go to the current owner and say, do you understand that it's gonna cost roughly $6-7 million for you to get this building actually in a condition where then you can actually renovate it. And the bar grant, we should have it done probably, we just had a meeting the other day about a Meadow Street strip of land right across the street from where Little Red Barn is. The amount of remediation just to potentially turn that into a parking lot is massive because of what was done on that prior to. But that was the first.
The childcare center across the street from?
No, go the other way. Meadow Street.
Meadow Street.
Meadow
Oh,
Street.
There was a garage there.
There was a garage there.
Isn't that actually our land?
It is our land, yes. So, and the reason why that was actually looked at quickly in the bar grant is Eversource is looking to do a substation there. And when we actually looked at it, we're actually gonna potentially have Eversource pay for an easement. We don't wanna actually give up the land, but pay for an easement to put their substation on it. And right now, we're still going through with the engineers of exactly what needs to be done in order for them to even put a substation on it. It's substantial amount of remediation just to put a substation that no one's gonna live at. Their work is continuing down the street in all of the legacy buildings. So, and I hear you loud and clear, because I get to look out my windows every single day and see, windows that are, taken out and buildings that aren't being occupied. But until we have a firm idea of exactly what the remediation is going to cost, it's hard to go to the owners of these particular buildings and say, hey, do you know what it's gonna, be to remediate these buildings? No. Do you? Well, no. But when we're done with this bar grant, we 100% will roughly know. But more importantly, when we have the bar grant information and we have engineers that have gone in and they looked at what remediation needs to be done, we can then go and seek out grants to remediate these buildings, which is very important, because when you're asking whether it's the existing owners of the buildings or potentially a new developer, any money that has to go into remediation that they can't unlock a state or a federal grant, they will walk away from the project, because simply the ROI will not be there on those buildings for them, because you're talking millions upon millions of dollars, and the project no longer makes sense if they have to spend $5 to $6 million to remediate the building, plus the construction of the building. The ROI is simply not there for the
Paul,
owners.
what is how long has this study been underway, and what's the expected end date for it?
End date should be the end of the summer, and the study probably began about 2 months ago.
So we'll have a report
We'll have
sometime
a
in the
report.
fall?
And I do want to asterisk that it was the COG that got the grant for the bar grant. So it's the COG study. We obviously will be privy to the information.
Why is it taking so long? for this
Engineers,
to
it
happen?
took so long just to get the engineer going, and their
It's been
workload.
years. It's been years
Oh.
since that property was sold.
Yes.
To a collective of individuals, and it got resold, and nothing's happened. It's been years.
I can't speak of why it's been years. I can just speak of
Why, it's been months?
yeah, why it's been months. And what we're looking to do is, okay, we know the buildings need remediation. Let's find out what remediation needs to be done. What's the cost of that remediation? Again, I don't try and comment on anything that happened before I got here. People do things the way they do it, but we got real about it, and we were fortunate that the COG teamed up with us. We got the $250,000 grant, and now we're really studying these buildings to figure out exactly what it's going to take to get those buildings back up and running.
Okay.
So we're there.
I actually have a couple more things. There's also another building, the one right across from Dairy Queen, the old Dano Electric. That's would be nice to be fixed. I believe the Ralph Nader owns that building.
Yes.
So.
Is that in the study?
It's
That
not.
particular building is not in the study, no, it is not.
But that's another one, that something should happen. The other thing is.
Isn't that one being used? Isn't he using it for storage
Maybe like
and
a
stuff?
couple rooms, I think.
Wasn't that just pulled, put back on the tax rolls?
Is it?
It's either back on the tax rolls or about to be back. There was a portion of it that was exempt because of
Community
a
lawyer.
community lawyer. That's not there. That then appeared on the tax rolls, and I want to look. I know you had asked me, and I had sent the information out about the particular buildings or the tax abatements. I believe that building isn't abated anymore. I think it's full
It went back
taxes
on the
now.
tax
Yeah, it
roll,
went
full
back on.
tax. That's the one that had the little paper sticker up that said Office of Community Lawyer, right?
Oh, yeah, I never
It's
saw
been
that
vacant
sticker.
for
Okay.
10
It's
years.
the old Dano Electric building, and there's over 25,000 cars that drive through that intersection in a day, right? So it's kind of a little bit of with the rest of the buildings in town, unfortunately. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is that the land trust, they just took another 90 acres off the tax rolls. They've already taken, in the last year and a half, 2 years, almost 500 acres off the tax rolls. And I'm definitely behind having some open space. Right now, they're sitting at 6%. Roughly, the state of Connecticut wants each town to have around 11%. So if you include what the land trust owns, what's around the water system, even some of the state land, we're well over the 11%. I also figured out that roughly, I kind of did a rough estimate on some of the land that's either not taxed or they're paying a partial tax. It's almost 25 to 30% of the town. isn't paying either little or no tax at all. Some of it's our land. I mean, there's 250 properties that we own, that we have been selling off. There's actually one now that we're talking about, and there's others that we are selling off. Because we're not in the real estate business. I don't think we're in the entertainment business. But to me, I am in the grand list growing business. And if that continues, that hurts everybody. That hurts the schools, that hurts the town. Somewhere along the line, there's got to be like a limit. You know, when is enough enough? So, like I said, and I like open space. I'm all for it too, but when is enough enough? So
I got a question for you. Your figures are those including the 440 properties as well? Those more private kind of land trust properties?
A little bit. Some that like are some farms that are not paying so much because they're farms, so some of them are taxed exempt. And I understand all that, but again, where does it end? Where does it end? Again, another 90 acres was just taken off the tax rolls recently. Plus all that stuff, all that 400 acres up over top of, that overlooks Highland Lake.
Which I understand from talking to realtors in town becomes a really big selling point. Increase in property values, which increases the taxes,
I understand.
Which is considered, I'm still talking. But the 440 properties are generally usually purchased by people, and I think some of the lake people have those as well, and they create their own little private parks for us. They're not things that benefit necessarily the whole community, and they pay really reduced taxes, significantly reduced taxes. So if we're gonna be talking about, that, I think we need to include the whole concept into it, that's all.
Yeah, I sort of did. I did.
That's why I asked you whether it did, and you said it kind of did include, so
Yeah,
that's why
yeah,
I
it
was
was
asking
some of
that.
it, I didn't really get too picky, I do have to work and have a life outside, but I was just
That's true.
curious. Right now, the land trust is sitting on 1,235 acres.
For the benefit of the community.
Right, but like I say, when is enough enough?
I think this highlights the importance of going after, just everything we've already said, going after the buildings that are currently empty, because we have so much that we can develop without destroying our natural resources. Because the fact that we're a small town surrounded by beautiful mountains and beautiful forests is our selling point. I mean, that's one of the many reasons why I was attracted to here and coming out of the Hartford area. So, I mean, we have to fill up every space we have as best we can, and we've got Wallens Hill already coming, so there's that. But I
Speaking of which, what's happening with Lawrence Hill? Is that gonna move forward faster?
just-
That's right, you're gonna give us the thing. We're
Yeah,
gonna
I'll
talk
come
to
to
you.
our office afterwards.
Just on the.
All right, there'll be no meeting going on in our office, although all the select
Right,
people
we're
are
just gonna
coming
pick
up,
up
it's just
stuff.
handing out
One
materials.
at a
when we
time.
go.
One at a time.
All right, we're kind of going around in circles
Yeah, we
here.
are.
Yep.
Item number 7, correspondence. Does anyone on the board have correspondence? Item number 8, boards and commissions. We have no actions for boards and commissions, correct?
no,
I have.
none.
Are we full up on the commissions and boards, or are there still seats
There
available?
are still
No, we need
seats
people.
available.
Should we announce what those are so that people may be interested in participating? We seem to have, it seems to me that we're having people really become interested in being involved and making a difference. So I think the rule is that we're supposed to announce any vacancies at every meeting. So if there's vacancies, I think we should be announcing them so people know.
You name the commission, there's most likely a vacancy on it.
Okay, so folks, if you want to help, you want to play a role, you want to be involved, make things work smoothly, please check the commission lists. We really need people.
And, piggybacking on that, we are in Laurel City Commission territory. We had 5 openings on the commission. We almost had to cancel the Laurel Festival because we didn't have volunteers, so it's very important that people get involved and volunteer for board or commission. We have no unfinished business, so moving on to item 10.
I was just gonna say, it goes on with the development stuff we were talking about. We have a new cultural commission, that cultural district commission that's starting up. So we have just enough people, but we need more people on that commission. And what that does is We're working to get a designation from the state of Connecticut, along with a very few other communities that have a high concentration of arts and culture in the town, which we do, and we have what we need to qualify. We just have to take the steps to get that from the state, and then what that unlocks is all sorts of new free advertising through the state channels and stuff to bring people, to telling people that Winchester is a place to come, to spend a nice day, to experience arts and culture, to go to our museums and all of that. So we have just enough people to get started. We're going to be getting started this month, but we definitely need a few more. So if you're interested in arts and culture, or especially if you work with a nonprofit, or if you are involved with the museums, or anything that's music, art, culture, museums, anything like that in town, please join us so we can get that going. That'll help with all of the development we were talking about.
Now, moving on to item 10, new business. Item A, Pearson School hot water system. Superintendent and Town Manager Harrington.
And Mr. Mayor, if I could, Dean, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name, starts with a P, from Connecticut Combustion Corporation, if he could join us as well.
Go on up.
Come on up, Dean.
Don't be shy.
I'm just gonna preview and hand off to Dean. I don't know if it was 2 weeks ago on a
Get closer to the mic.
That was I'm not staying kind of pose. We started our day either 2 Mondays ago or 3 Mondays ago, it's a blur at this point, to a 6 a.m. phone call from Dave Cruden, who I give so much appreciation to, who keeps us up and running, saying we have no hot water at Pearson School. Dean was there in a flash. It took all day and well into the evening to get us back up and running. I could tell you why, but Dean's gonna do a much better job of that. I gave you some pictures, he gave you some better pictures, but the over and under is, this is a 28-year-old system that should have made it 20 years. It owes us nothing, and we are limping to the end of the school year. He's gonna tell you all the mechanical stuff. What I'll say to you is, the pinch for us is that you can't use the building without hot water. In order to fix this, we need either to bypass, and Dean has talked about a way he could do that to keep us up and running, but our building is used year-round. Park and Rec is in there all day, every day, all summer, and we cook for the community in the Pearson kitchen. We cook for all the kids in the Park and Rec program, as well as the summer school program, and we do weekly pickups, all with federally funded food. But nonetheless, we're cooking in our kitchens, so it isn't like we can just say, oh, thank goodness it's summer and we don't have to worry about this. It's Park and Rec would be out on the street if we didn't get it back up and running, so. Leaves the
Thank
expert.
you, Dr. Luby.
Hi, good evening. My last name is Petrazio, but thank
Dean,
you.
and before you begin, because we do have some new board members, but I also, if the board doesn't remember, Dean's company was also the company that replaced the boiler, the heater. Was it last year or the year? 2 years ago? It was 2 years ago, if you remember, we met at the Gilbert School during one of the referendum town meetings. So Connecticut Combustion was the company that came in and did the repair, or not the repair, the replacement of the HVAC, the boiler for the heating system. So I just wanted to put a little reference to Dean while he's here. So Dean, take it away. I'm going to share the pictures with the board, so go ahead.
So what we have at the school is what we call an indirect hot water system, and that you have two heating boilers that act as the heat source, and they heat domestic hot water tanks. Those tanks are essentially heat exchangers. There's 4 tanks, again, heated by 2 boilers. At the moment, we have one of those 2 boilers down with a burner problem. The remaining boiler that is operating has now cracked. And I think that's in the lower right of the 4 photographs that you're looking at as a close-up of that crack failure. Of the 4 tanks that are there, 3 of them are online. 1 has been isolated due to leaks for some time. So I think it's fair to say that the superintendent described it very accurately, and the system is, we're hoping to get through the remainder of the year without any other hiccups. That being said, I also think it was accurate to say it's roughly a 20-year life system. The boilers in particular, you might recall, Bill, the same brand of boiler that was the previous heating boiler at the school, and that manufacturer had several difficulties that took place around the time that these were put together, and some of that is what is reflected in those photographs. It's certainly not my place necessarily to advise or suggest, but I would strongly recommend that at this time that system be renovated and updated. I think because of the use of the system, not only for school, but also for your other programs, and possibly emergency shelter is commonly used at buildings of this type. You put something in actually somewhat similar to what you had, and that an indirect system is the longest lasting. It's modular, and that if you lose a tank or a pump or even a boiler, in this case, you've always got a backup. Unfortunately, where we are now, you're at the backup, and that's the trouble that we're at. So I've kind of got some ideas in my head for how to approach it, but obviously those can be tweaked and reviewed. I think that's my summary. Do you have any questions in particular?
I just want to reiterate a few things that Dr. Luby said. So if we don't move forward with this and we lose the boilers, we will have to cancel the Parks and Rec programs for the summer, confirmed with the building department either today or last week or whenever this was put on the radar. Even if Dean were able to get the boiler installed, or we go with somebody else, you still have to wait 48 hours before you could reuse the building again, per state building code. I think with Dean, and I'll elaborate a little bit more, he has said that he can go in and do a temporary system as he fixes the system or installs the new system, so we basically can continue with all of our programs all summer long. He gets rid of the temporary one and goes over there. So we have, obviously, the day camps. I know a lot of parents probably rely on the day camps during the summer months. Parents work, they need to send their kids somewhere, so day camps are very important. But the other one that's important is Ed Advance comes over and cooks all of our food for our most vulnerable families. And we obviously do want to continue that because we obviously want families to be fed over the summer months as well. So those are two critical areas that I think we need to take a serious look at that. Section 912 of the charter is the emergency appropriation section, which is similar, it's the exact same section we used when we replaced the boiler for the heater at the school as well. So I put that in the board. I'm expecting a debate about this, a discussion about it, but I wanted, from the town's perspective, there are two programs, and from the school's perspective, I don't want to put words into Dr. Luby's mouth by any means, but I think we both agree that, the day camps are very important, and feeding our most vulnerable families is also important, and we obviously need hot water to operate both of those programs.
Paul, I mean, I think this board just needs the number. I don't think there's a lot of pushback from this board when there's emergency things that have to be done, so we just need the number.
What's the cost?
Well, a lot of that obviously depends on the general options. I've sort of done some preliminary work already in sizing the system, which is the critical driver. I find that the existing system is largely oversized in some respects, and in my research for doing your boiler project, I think that may have been in anticipation of the possible pool that was discussed there and assorted locker rooms that might have gone along with that. I think the domestic hot water system may have included some of that thinking. But as a general...
We get the pool back? I'm sorry, I didn't know there was a... Is it outdoor or indoor? Sorry, I didn't know there was a pool. I didn't know there was a pool option.
There's a pool right up the road.
Back in the 60s, 70s, when they were doing a renovation, they thought about putting in an indoor pool, locker rooms with showers and whatnot.
That's how old the system is?
There's actually plans. I think, Dave, we found plans, right? Didn't we find plans that showed that back in?
It's supposed to be where the gym is.
Right, exactly. So
We just
that's,
have to move forward now. The estimates come in. I don't
Yeah.
think
He's got
this-
estimates.
Yeah,
So what's the
so
number?
As a general rule of thumb, in accordance with the ASHRAE guide, I've sort of come up with a basic figure, and it's around 6 figures. So I've also included that, along with that, a high efficiency outlook for doing it. So, you know, I think it's, not to say anything out of turn in any way, but I think if you had 2 or 3 contractors here, they might all have different ideas on how to do this. But you do need a large amount of hot water per student. And that, of course, it's always the peak demand that we're looking at, which is when the kitchen is really doing its thing. And that, for that 60 to 90 minutes that those sinks are really running and the cleanup is going on, that's the load that we have to target.
So in order for us to take action on this, we need a figure, like, that it's not gonna be more than X. And then we can do a vote
well,
on it.
I'd actually have a couple questions on
But we
what his ideas are.
Right, but we
before
still
do
need a
it. So-
figure from you. I'm still asking for a figure. Can you give us what you, I know you've had discussions with Dr. Luby. Can you give us a figure of what you think you can do this for? You know, considering all the possible issues that may occur.
Right. Well, and then I think just another aside, including something to keep things going, even if it's
Yes.
Yes.
the existing system and we keep that limping along while we build something in place, that sort of colors the project a little bit.
Absolutely.
I would like to see that dollar amount come in south of that 6-figure number, because at that 6-figure number, we then have to jump to prevailing wage, and there's sort of a economy of scale that goes along with that. So I would like to not see it.
So if we did 99,000, you know, 999, that would work for you
Based
as a cap?
Well, with what I have laid out right now, which I'm sure Bill will take me to task on if I remember correctly from our boiler discussions, I think as a contractor who hasn't turned in a finished proposal or bid yet, I think if you were to say not to exceed
Right.
that 100, I think I would be comfortable with that.
Not to exceed 100,000, or should we keep it at 99,000, so you're not having that wage issue?
Well, how you choose to vote and how the budget works out, as long as my number is not 100, we're south of that
Okay.
prevailing wage.
That's
So,
great,
you
thank
know.
you.
Do we need to move this forward prior to getting firm numbers?
So I did, because I truly feel that we're under an emergency situation right now, right? You got school year ending, we obviously want the school year to end, and then right after the school year ends, summer camp starting, ed advances in there. So the way I've worded the motion, and I was passing it along, it's not to exceed a dollar amount. It's obviously, you know, giving the town manager the authorization. The other thing that we did different in talking with the finance director today is that we'd like to, the appropriation shall be funded from the town's general fund fiscal year 2026 available budget. So before we go after the savings account, the fund balance, typically in the last 2+ years that I've been here, we've turned in excess of almost $1 million each year. The first thing we want to do is use any balance of any accounts that haven't been expended fully. If we don't have enough money, then we'll dip into it. There's plenty of money in the savings account. We talked about that during the budget process. But what I first wanted to do is take any available balance before we stick it back into the general fund, use that balance to pay for it. I think what Dean is telling us is that, you know, not to exceed $100,000, you'd be comfortable with that number on our motion?
I think so, yes.
I mean, I can come back, but where I want to go with this is tomorrow, you and I, or Wednesday, whatever, we start sitting down, because I do have the fear of ending the school year, the summer camps, and ed advance getting in there, where I want to move this thing.
Keep the hot water going.
It's important that we move it, I get it. Does this have to go out to bid?
Because an emergency appropriation, it does not.
It does not,
It does
okay.
not, because we're ticking the emergency appropriation button, it does not need to go out to bid.
So I move that the Board of Selectmen pursuant to Section 912 of the Town Charter, determine that the failure of the hot water boiler at Pearson School constitutes a public emergency threatening the health, safety, and property of the town and the continued operation of an essential public facility. I further move that the Board of Selectmen approve an emergency appropriation in an amount not to exceed $100,000 for the emergency replacement of the Pearson School hot water boiler, including all associated equipment, installation, engineering, permitting, and contingency costs. The board finds that immediate action is necessary to protect the town property and maintain essential public services. The appropriation shall be funded from the town's general fund, fiscal year 2026 available budget. Any funds not covered by available budgeted funds shall be appropriated from general fund balance and expended under the direction of the town manager in accordance with applicable purchasing requirements.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion?
My only discussion is, so you're telling us that you can get this boiler fixed now temporarily, and so the kids are okay to the end of the year?
That's
And
what we've
then you're
already
gonna
done.
finish it, and in the meantime, it's gonna be able to, all these programs are gonna be able to go.
Well, I wish I could predict everything from here. I wouldn't sit here and tell you, I can guarantee your old system's gonna keep running. But if it doesn't, I'll come up with something. That I can tell you.
All right, that's all we wanna know.
So, we just put in 3 brand-new heating boilers, correct?
Yes.
So if you had to put hot water in that school, like right now, if you had to heat that hot water, I know the indirects are shot, obviously, those gotta be replaced as well. Could you tap right into the heating system there, bring water over, heat these indirects and pump hot water through the school?
Yes.
Do the current boilers that we just put in, that could be, because we put 3 in for redundancy, correct?
Yes.
Do they have enough horsepower behind them to heat these indirect heaters to supply water to the
We
school?
discussed that when we were with the school staff on site. It's not really the best use of boilers that large, in that heating system, when you go into the high efficiency stuff, it needs to have a certain amount of water flow through it at all times.
Correct.
Which when you're heating the building, even at its minimum requirement, you automatically have. When you're trying to heat a load that's comparably much smaller, like on the domestic hot water side, and you're, even with the turn down rate of these boilers and the high efficiency part, the flow is at times so much less, that it will work. And in an emergency, if we needed to have an emergency plan B, yes, we can tap into that piping and probably do something without bringing in okay, guys, back it up type of thing.
Did we put taps, I thought you and I talked, did we put taps off that main header when we put those boilers in for?
There probably is something
I think there's a couple
already.
taps there. I'm saying, if you needed to get them hot water tomorrow, you get a call tomorrow from Dave. I think there's a couple taps you could come over and, right?
Well, I think the first thing I would do to get into it a little bit is probably take the good burner that's working, swap it to the boiler that's not cracked, and, you know, try to juggle something a little bit that way. I also have an emergency heater at my shop. It's a 3-phase heater. I could get that down there, and I can get a minimal amount of water going, hot water.
Right.
But we come up with something. You have the right, you know.
So if we appropriate this, you can start right away?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Julie, how much
soon as
time
you
we got
leave
left
here?
for school?
As soon as you leave here?
Yeah.
16, 15 days?
19.
And you have no hot water at all right now?
No, we do.
Oh, you do?
Dean came and he swapped out the broken circulator for a like-new, gently used one he happened to have laying around, and did all the things he needed to do to put us back in business. But it's bubble gum and Band-Aids.
Right.
So we have, 15, we end on the 19th, so 14 school days left. And as long as it keeps running, we're good, and if it doesn't, Dean has been wonderful, he shows up. I mean, Dean's
That's
there at
important.
4 or 5 in the morning checking all the systems, and anytime something doesn't work, he gets the right people in.
Yeah, he keeps calling me while I'm in the shower.
You have
The
hot
only
water
thing
to
that's-
go.
About that.
The only thing I wanna make sure is that we're not gonna damage those new boilers that we put in by tapping into them for any reason.
No, I think that's a good idea, but maybe it's more of a plan C, maybe, or D.
What it is, it's redundancy for the future.
Yeah.
You know, if there's taps there and he valved them, you put a new boiler in, great, it's brand new, doesn't mean that in 6 months, something's not gonna happen to it, it happens all the time. He could simply tap off those boilers and run these indirect heaters off the boiler. Do you wanna do it forever? Do we not put furnaces in to run these? No, we gotta replace these boilers.
Yep.
But I think if you have the redundancy, it's gonna save you emergencies in the future.
Dr. Luby, do you have any contingencies in case the wheels fall off of this and he can't get parts? Can they move to Hinsdale? Can they move to Gilbert? Any of these programs? No?
The park and rec programs couldn't go to Hinsdale because we have another program there.
Okay,
I haven't explored Gilbert because I've been assured that
okay.
as long as we do this, we'll be in business.
We'll get it done.
Keep us
Okay.
live.
Sounds like the new boilers are will get it done if it had to.
Right.
But
Well, I
long
just
term,
wanna
it's
make sure
it's a
we're
lot
not
of
having
horsepower to
supply-
wash your hands, is what
Supply
he's trying to
chain
say.
issues and things like that.
You know,
Go
you don't wanna
change into
fire
your
up these
work
massive
clothes and
boilers.
start tonight.
All that being said, it will take some time to get equipment here.
Right.
And kind of what we tell everybody, because so many municipal and school budgets break on that fiscal year, a lot of folks, that's when they start, July 1st. That's when the engineering goes out and they start to solicit bids. So in my business, when you order something in April or May, and then you try to order it in July or August, it's couple of weeks here means several months there. So it is important.
Timely, right?
So we got it close.
Be proud, we're a month early, we're beating all the other municipalities.
I hope so.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Unanimous?
Thank you.
Dean,
Good luck.
Thank you, Dean.
Town manager Harrington, I have a question for you.
Nancy.
So, earlier this year, when I was working with our congressional representative, John Larson, trying to advocate for more funding for our town's education, it led to an application being put in for funding to fix capital expenses at Pearson School. Do we know when we might hear about that?
So typically, we start to hear something in October. The federal budgets, they start debating them up around October, and then if they agree, then there's a budget, and then if they don't agree, then there's, things that don't happen. So somewhere around probably mid-fall, we'll start to hear if our application's good, bad, or indifferent. So funny thing is with that, we did put in, with Congressman Larson's office, all of the capital items that the Board of Ed pushed forward. One of those items was the boiler. Good news is it is a public meeting. I don't know if I'm gonna go back to Congressman Larson's office. You know, you can, subtract 100, because we went in for a $2 or $3 million ask for that application. But I'm sure there's something that we can find if they come through with the full $2 or $3 million and again, I say it during town manager's report, Congressman Larson, Senator Blumenthal, and Senator Murphy have been very kind to Winstead with the amount of federal dollars that this town has received. Some that we're looking to unlock that we've gotten commitment, $2 million for the public works facility, $1 million for the fire department. The list goes on and on and on. So, again, I say these $850,000 for the radios. You hear me. There's a reason I continue to thank congressional delegation, because the money is hitting this town, and it's the taxpayers aren't having to fund these projects. So, October, Kevin. That was a long way to answer your question.
Thank you.
Item B, roads and sidewalks update. Public Works Director Rollins, Town Manager Harrington.
And just to note, because Mr. Rollins and I both like to talk a lot, I was not present at the last meeting. Anne Marie will be at the next meeting. This is all of what Public Works is going to accomplish this summer, this spring, this summer, this fall, in terms of the road. The following meeting with the finance officer, or finance director coming in and doing a finance office update, we'll also supply the dollar amounts where we wanted to do work this time, money next time. We wanted to break it up, and we knew the meeting could get quite long. I didn't know where item G potentially could have led if we had a budget or not. So I was balancing the agenda while it was published. So with that, Mr. Rollins, good to see you, buddy.
All right. So I came to this with a little bit different understanding of what was being asked of me. I think because the time constraints are a little tight. It's more about what's coming than what's been done, is what I think you're asking for. So I might be a little clunky as I go through because I went through everything, the stuff that's done, where we are and the stuff that's coming. But it's 7 or 8 pages and it gets too hard to follow and it gets long. So it might be clunky, but I'll get through it. So just going alphabetically through the bond stuff, give you an update on what's happening. So the Grantville Road Bridge, which is being done through the Federal Local Bridge Program, they are evaluating the public comment from the meetings that we held and putting that into the final design. We should have the 60% plans sometime this July, but at this point in time, they've postponed construction until spring of 2028. Again, bandwidth is an issue for them as much as it is for the municipalities. The Highland Lake retrofit program, that's part of the bond. It's essentially a combination of asset management and MS4. For those of you that don't know, MS4 is the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System. It's basically how do you monitor the quality of water coming from your drainage system into your water courses. And in the bond, we took a kind of proactive step to get started on this up around Highland Lake, knowing that the MS4 requirements are going to hit us for the whole town. Excuse me. So where we are on that is we've purchased some technology, some GPS, GIS technology and equipment, and we started with a report from Ty and Bond. It's an engineering firm, and they gave us their preliminary report, which was it was underwhelming. So I went back and said, we were kind of hoping that this part of the scope meant this, so can you revise it and update it to suit our needs? So that's where it is. So we should, in the next couple of weeks, get kind of a summary of what our next steps are. Basically, where Highland Lake has done an amazing job at testing the lake water. They just don't have much data on the water right where it comes into the lake. So there's kind of a dispute amongst the group that's involved in this project. Do we try to go after the high volume, low concentration water sources or the low volume, high concentration of pollutant water sources? So we're hoping to get this answer or some combination of what we should do and a timeline that makes it the best bang for the buck. So we should know more in a couple of weeks on that. Dovetailing with the retrofit program is the Highland Lake drainage, which is essentially a water quality implementation. We've done a bunch of stuff, but the most important thing is there's 3 projects on West Wakefield Boulevard that were delayed because of the death of the surveying firm and the unavailability of other surveyors to pick up the slack. Well, we got a surveyor on. They've done the basic survey for 3 projects. A drainage system in the area of 345 West Wakefield, a retaining wall and drainage mitigation problem at 608 West Wakefield, and where Mountain Road comes down towards West Wakefield. Part of the water goes to the east, part of it goes to the west, and where it goes to the west, there's a culvert that's had some surcharging issues. So those 3 projects have been surveyed. Wetlands has gone out and flagged everything, and that data is making its way back to the engineers. So they'll start working on the basic design and some bid documents for that. Halliburtt Avenue, those plans will go to the Council of Governments for their review this week. We do know, we've confirmed that the lot SIP funding for the lower half of that has been allocated. I don't know what's involved in the COG review. That's a bit of an unknown. I haven't gone through this process before. But as we do with every project, we reach out to all the utilities before we do it and have them get ahead of us. The water company put a water main in, and we also reached out to Eversource. At the time, they didn't have anything pending. Now all of a sudden they do. So they're replacing the regulator station, is that what that is at the top? Anyway, they're replacing that and some mains that go with it. I don't know what that's gonna do to the schedule, but I made the decision to bid it this winter for a spring start. We were hoping to do a fall start, but that one's gonna go for a spring of 2027. Newfield Road, the drainage and pavement design will start as soon as the engineer's finished doing the drainage and pavement design on South Road. And that's already been, I'll get to that one later. We will bid that this winter for a spring start. We've also applied to the state and local bridge program and the federal local bridge program, one for one culvert and one bridge on Newfield Road. That'll be a separate project, but we're gonna have a great, nice new road. We don't want it to narrow to a 18-foot bridge. And then the culvert, that's just one that needs to be replaced. Oakdale Avenue. The bottom of Oakdale, where it crosses Old New Hartford Road, has a big pipe. I think it's a 48-inch. The bottom's rotted out, and then it's rotted out all the way up to like Fair Avenue. This is one I really want to get done this season. We've had some sinkholes there, and it's become problematic. Old Colebrook Road should be milled and paved by the end of this week or early next week, depending on how long Spring Street takes. As I alluded to earlier, Newfield Road, South Road, the drainage and pavement design is underway. It's been flagged, it's been surveyed, and we should get plans and bid documents for that. We'll install the new drainage this summer and pave it this fall. And that's the section from Newfield Road, right in the center, out to Hollow Road over by Hurlbut's Farm. That's the worst of the northern end of South Road. Spring Street, that's the big steep hill right over here. The drainage was completed earlier this spring. The milling started today, and I would expect it to get paved by the end of the week or early next week. Wani Road was just complete. We have a tiny little bit of landscaping left to do. We've got a curveball on sidewalks. We had awarded the contract to a vendor out of Bristol, the same contractor that was doing the Holland Beach area. We called them up, in the spring and said, okay, we're ready to get going on this stuff. We had some, they knew what we were expecting, and we've had crickets ever since. We waited as long as we could for them, and then we finally used 3 different contractors to finish up the Holland Beach area right at the last second. So I do have to give big thanks to some local contractors that came in and rescued us there. DM Hawk put in all the curbing for us. DMS Lawn and Property Services came in and hydroseeded, like last minute, right before a holiday weekend. And Northeast Crack Sealing came in and did the line painting for the crosswalks and the parking spots. None of them were the ones that even bid the job. They just came and rescued us because the contractor is MIA. So how do I feel about, that's the same contractor that won the sidewalk bid and was the only bidder. So what do we do? Do we go back out to bid? Do we give them another chance? I don't think we can, they won't even return calls, so we gotta go somewhere else, so we're starting over with that.
So you're gonna have to put out a new bid?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you ask, spoke to the contractors, the local contractors that helped you out?
They don't do concrete sidewalks.
That's not gonna work,
No,
okay.
no.
That's too bad.
Yeah, but there's a lot of sidewalk money. It's more than we can just make an appropriation for. There's like $600,000 worth of work planned. It's gotta go out to a formal bid again. I don't know if it was the timing of when we put the bid out or the quality of the bid. We talked, when we only got, one bidder, we did ask some of the contractors who have done sidewalks for us in the past, why they didn't bid, and they were just busy. Maybe this is a better time to put it out, I don't know. So probably the only thing we're gonna do on that is revisit the concrete mix. We weren't happy with the concrete mix that has been used. We're getting surface spalling, it's happening all over the state, so we've come up with our own concrete mix that we wanna use. But again, that project, we were initially planning on starting on Park Place West, in an area where the town has a sidewalk that belongs to us that we need to do. And then we were going to advertise the sidewalk revolving fund, which I think is gonna be a very popular thing with the public. I don't wanna get into the details of it now, but I think it'll really help a lot of people get sidewalks going and stay true to what the charter has about the responsibility of sidewalks being the adjacent property owner. So we'll get into that, at some later date, but we were hoping to be going on that, but we got a little bit sidetracked. As far as annual road maintenance goes, we got, in this year's budget that just passed, there's $560,000 for annual road maintenance. Out of that, roughly $32,000 goes to crack seal, about $118,000 is gonna go into chip seal, and that's roads that were paved within the last 3 years. In this case, it's gonna be Gay Street, Wetmore, Perkins, Fruit, Old Colebrook Road, Indian Meadow, and Marshall Street. Line painting, roughly $30,000. Hazard trees, about $150,000. Shimming and pothole patching, roughly $50,000. That leaves us with about $180,000 to fill in all the gaps. What are those gaps? That's kind of our discretionary thing. What is causing the most problems to the public? What's causing the most problems to the plow trucks? Rah, rah, rah. We don't have that list finalized. Woodruff Avenue drainage, I know will happen on that. Some of them that are leading contenders are finish up the Danbury Quarter Road. You were just mentioned that earlier. Finish up the Danbury Quarter Road cross pipes. There's like a dozen of them. Oh, I'm sorry, there's 30 of them. Some of them are already done. Orchard Street, where we did some drainage last year, we'd really like to mill and pave that and get it done. Morningside, Brookside, the drainage has been done. Sunny Ridge, the drainage has been done. Winchester Avenue, we'd love to get the drainage done on that. That's just that's been a problem for way too long. We had put guide rail into our budget. It didn't make it through, so we'd like to get some high priority guardrails in, and then whatever else comes up. Under our miscellaneous, we've got the pedestrian bridge at the spillway on the west side. There's money in the budget that just passed for that. The Bridge Street intersection, the bids are due the 4th, what's that, Thursday, I guess. And it will be completed by winter time. Rockwell, Superior, and Ridge Streets. Catch basin repairs, basically the bottoms, the pipes, and the sumps are in good shape. It's the tops from the mortar joints up that have to be replaced. And then we're using fee in lieu of payment from gas mains to do a 2-inch mill and pave. We'll probably have to supplement that with some of our own money because I don't think a 2-inch mill is going to smooth the road out, as much as we need it to. The White Street Bridge is similar to Grantville Road Bridge. The public comments being evaluated by DOT. We should have their final design agreement in July, and they have not yet scheduled the construction phase of that. Skinner Road, we'd like to do a preliminary pavement design, mostly for budgeting purposes. We've got some drainage money from, not last year, but the prior year, I believe, in the capital budget. But we don't really know what the conditions are under that road, so we don't really know what the paving's gonna cost. Those are really the highlights of what to expect. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to.
Jim, I do have one question. It's actually not related to that. With the paving on Main Street, I know last time we paved Main Street, there were some complaints about the parking lines, which we ended up having to, I think the town went out.
It's a good question.
And painted that. Do we have any plans for that once they finish?
I hadn't.
Okay.
How about
But-
crosswalks?
Well, crosswalks
So
would be
I
Eversource,
think
right?
crosswalks,
We need a lot more crosswalks than we have there.
The crosswalks are part of where Commissioner Euclid came in with the temporary ballards. That all got delayed until after Eversource finishes the paving. Once that is done, mark my words, I will be ringing the commissioner's office repeatedly to get the plan that's still in my office, the blueprints of it, the temporary ballards, and by temporary I mean that they can't be concrete, right? But they are gonna be there forever, and the crosswalk. So that is heavily, there was a commitment to the town from the DOT that when Eversource is done, they will come out, because the only thing that was done last year, after heaven promises to all of the Board of Selectmen and to our residents, was we got a little bit of the lane dieting way down there, and that was it. And then Eversource came in and they started ripping up the road, okay? Those plans sit right across from me. I look at them every day, because although it's not perfect, it's the start of slowing things down, more pedestrian-friendly Main Street Route 44. So that, I'm taking that one fully, because I love the plans, I want them executed, and I like that there was no cost to our residents that the DOT was picking up the tab. That's on me.
I'm sort of seeing that in Torrington a little bit. They're doing a lot of sidewalk work and road work. They're squeezing everything in a
They're
little
lane
bit.
dieting.
To slow things down, especially up on Water Street.
it's the only thing that works.
It
If you have a
is,
wide
yeah.
road, you have fast drivers. It's,
Or a smooth road.
well, therein lies the other problem. The first call after we pave a road is people are speeding.
Yep.
We can't, the pavers aren't even demobilized before those calls come in. It happens every time. But yeah, the parking lines on Main Street, to give you a little heads up on that, somehow DOT feels that that's the town's responsibility on a state road. And
I remember last time, we had
pass
lots
it
of
on.
calls.
So what we can do is really paint the lines that were there, if we can even see them anymore. We can't really go changing them. Now, I'm not real familiar with the plan that's up in your office. They can't add crosswalks without putting handicap accessible curb stops in.
Right.
So I don't think that's part of this phase.
I think they were adding one.
Okay.
I gotta relook at the plans. They were adding one
So-
with the handicap access, because that was talked about in that meeting that day. But we need, because with that, it gives the pedestrians a safer, they can literally stand in the road because they're in this like little
Yeah.
bollard, and I don't know if I'm saying the name right, bollard.
It's like a bump out.
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah.
Have we looked at lighting for that? I was happened to be out of town last weekend and came up upon a crosswalk where literally there was 4 bright yellow lights that were almost blinding, that you had to slow down for, and you knew somebody was in the
Great Barrington
crosswalk.
has those too.
Yeah.
As soon as somebody gets in the crosswalk, the lights flash.
But these
bam.
were like ridiculously bright.
That was
They
included,
really got your
that was
attention.
included in
Long
the
streetlights.
DOT proposal was the light up, yellow lights that.
Only one additional crosswalk, because there's so many areas on that street that are dangerous, and people are crossing over by the Y, down by where all the restaurants are, like where my business is. Further, there's so many places, and it's just, you're playing Frogger. It's dangerous. You know, so whatever we can do to advocate for more, we really need to do that, because people aren't gonna slow down even with the speed cameras. And when it gets dark there, it's dark, especially on the west end of town.
As soon as Eversource is off this road, which is supposed to be Sunday night, I'm taking over. I want that work done.
And again, keep in mind, all these beautiful things that we want for Main Street, as soon as we lobby for nice bright yellow lights at the crosswalks, they hand that maintenance responsibility to us.
Yep.
We already don't have the staff or the knowledge. You know, do we train somebody that we have up? Do we subcontract it out? We have the budget for these things that we want. Just
Yeah.
keep that in mind when we're planning out, you know, what we do. I'm not saying I'm against it, I'm just saying I know what always happens.
Yep.
They find money to build it with a grant, and then they go, keep it going, and by the way, you don't have enough people, and
Yeah.
you didn't have, and now you won't, so, not
Well,
trying to cry poverty here, just telling you the reality of the situation.
You don't have LED light training?
We don't have, what we should have an electrician in town that could handle sewer plant, water plant, lights. You know, fortunately, we don't have any traffic signals, we don't have any street lights. Thankfully, Bob Geiger did not take those when they offered to give them to us and make the LEDs. He saw
Yes.
through that smoke screen, and he says, no, why don't you put LEDs in and you keep them? And, you know, but yeah, so we don't maintain the lights very well. We own 6 or 8 lights from Union Street heading west, and we're constantly fixing those. We just hire an electrician to fix them, and then something else goes wrong with it. They just were never installed well. So I'm just leery of all these great things that we all want. I gotta maintain them, so just be gentle.
Any other questions on Jimmy's report?
For the board and for the residents, that report is fresh off the press. Jim's gonna email it to me. I will get it off to the board and also publish it under the Public Works part of the website. You always see our road reports go up there. So I think the last one was the winter time when we had you come in. This will be the updated spring version. So we just keep them all in a row. We don't delete any of them. So we're gonna get it up on our website first thing tomorrow. It'll be under Public Works, and just click on their page, and it's right on the first page of the latest date. We'll have the date on it. So I'll email it to all of you, but we'll get it up on the town's website as well.
Wonderful.
Speaking of technology, I couldn't pull this up on YouTube tonight.
Yeah,
Is it? Okay.
it's on there. It did come on a little late, but
Oh, maybe that's all it was. Okay.
So Jim, I just want to thank you and the whole crew. I know you got an awful lot on your plate. It's not just the roads or the drainage. You still have the water plant, the sewer plant, everything else. I know you got an awful lot of stuff on your hands. So thank you guys for everything that you're doing, and try not to get too stressed out.
We do what we can do.
That's all.
and, you know, hope for the best, but thank you.
Appreciate it.
I will
Selectman Bishop, you have
pass that
something?
along.
Yeah, I had a question. I think it's more for town manager. We talked earlier about the Safe Streets for All thing that just finished and how that will unlock state and federal grants. Do you have any idea of what that looks like, what they would cover, what it would be for, when, anything?
Well, the survey just closed, so
Yeah, I
now
know.
it's analyzing the data. The report is not done yet. The report's gonna take, several more months to get done. I can tell you that towns are picking up millions of dollars in state and federal grants to pave roads, to make them more pedestrian friendly, to make them bike friendly. There are millions of dollars available from both state and federal to go fix your roads.
But you have to actually redesign roads. That's not just a paving project.
Depending on the unsafeness of the roads, you can pave them as well, but also lengthen the roads and putting a bike lane in. I don't think there's a resident out there that would complain that we have a little bit wider road and allowing for bike traffic. And you're literally marking the bike lane where it's safe for bikers and for walkers too, where you're actually putting up these bollards that allow safe walking conditions for our bikers and for our walkers as well. And if it's a way to get the road fixed, I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think anyone's gonna complain that, hey, we have safer passage for cars and for our bikers and for our walkers, so.
Yeah, and to answer your question, I think the way I look at the Safe Streets for All, not only that, it's gonna help people just be safer using the built environment, but if you don't go through the process, the grant money won't come. Not only does it help you get the money, but if you don't have it, the grants won't come. So it's kind of like, it's time well spent, money well spent. right before I came here, I was watching a webinar on, you know, kind of what the state transportation plan is. And, you know, they're coming to realize that just moving vehicles fast, long distances just isn't suiting anyone. It's making it too hard for, you know, pedestrian, rollers is the new term, you know, whether it's skateboards, bikes, wheelchairs, walkers, you know, so you got walkers and rollers, trying to make ramps, trying to make, you know, raised crosswalks so you can be seen by cars. It's just, it's all about that. Because what more can you do to the roads, right? The only thing we do is make them better and people drive faster. So they want to try to promote pedestrian activities so people don't have to be on the road. So I think it's probably a smart shift. It's a shift in thinking as much as anything else. But you got a lot of people that are doing it, you know, thinking about it, planning it. And it's got to be better than what we have. It's just, you know, the road network in this country is just terrible.
Yes.
So
It all takes time too, you know, just like you said, you have to do one step at a time, cross your Ts, dot your Is, seen it plenty of times myself, so, yeah.
And a lot of it is geared around, you know, having a point of public transportation that you can get to without too big a trip, either walking or cycling. You know, it makes a lot of sense. Driving is just, who likes to drive anymore? Like, nobody I know. You know, it's just gotten awful. But anyway, you would.
I think,
Jim will be riding his bike.
I just want to put the cherry on top of this, and I think it's important for our residents to know that the town really is on the cusp of great things, because you have the bar grant that's looking at these legacy buildings. You have Safe Streets for All that's, you know, looking at unlocking the money for the roads. You know, the bar grant's gonna help us unlock the remediation grant. You're gonna see further on, down in the agenda, you're gonna hear about the rescue plan for a SIF grant, which is gonna unlock potentially money to do a study to unlock money for our sewer plant. Bill will know the gentleman's name from DEP who literally said, get the study done and I will unlock 80% of your sewer plant rehabilitation.
Carlos.
That's his name, thank you. I was trying to think of his name for like the last hour. But these reports do unlock the money. We've tried it prior to me getting it.
Yeah.
Looking at what other administrations done, looking at what other boards, they asked repeatedly, and the doors were shut. We're looking at how other towns are unlocking this money, and it always comes back to the report. So we've changed our mentality, we're going out, we've got the reports in the work. A year from now, please, I'll take all criticism. If we're not unlocking that money, I think you can say, Paul, we did the report, and I own it, but I can tell you right now, I'm seeing what the other towns are doing, we're getting the reports done, we're on the cusp. Be patient, we're gonna get it done.
And, you know, you guys were talking about the bar grant earlier.
Jim's huge.
You know, and one of the things that I really liked about that was, it kind of went to some of the concerns that you guys have, you know, is it's offering opportunities to the people that own these properties. You know, what can it be used for? What is a good use of this property? Because you might own a building and not know its best use, which is why you never did anything with it. So this, I didn't realize that until we started meeting about it. That is, like, that's the town really helping an existing landowner make use of a piece of property to benefit them as well as a town. Like, that is, I feel really good about this. I think it's gonna really open up people's eyes to what assets they have and how to utilize it for the good of everybody. So that was the one part I wanted to remember to throw in there, so.
And is it, do you go with the building, is it a commercial use, which requires maybe a little less remediation, or is it a residential use, which requires a little bit more? We're gonna have it all. We're going to have it all. So it's exciting.
And they can even steer you towards developers. They can, you know, give you fair market values for what it's worth, what it can be worth when it's, it was really a comprehensive economic strategy. I couldn't believe it. I was really impressed at the personnel they brought in. Was really, I mean, all the vendors, but the one we chose had a really awesome staff, so I'm out of here.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Jim.
Mr. Director.
Thank you, Jim.
Item C, 26 26-26, proposed line item transfer by the Director of Finance, Town Manager Harrington.
So about a month ago, you all approved roughly $1,000 transfer to get some of the vehicles in the land use office up and running. Unfortunately, once the vehicle did get brought in, there was obviously more work that was found. Roughly an additional, I think it was $467 additional work needed to be found when the brakes were being replaced. We are asking for $667 because we're looking for an additional $200 because the two of the other vehicles do need to get oil changes before the end of the year, $100 a piece for the oil change. So before you, all money being covered within the actual department, $667 from the relocation cost to the maintenance of vehicles. And our vehicles will be starting July 1st, ready to go.
By recommendation of the town manager, I move the Board of Selectmen approve the above action step 26-26, budget transfer 2026-17, totaling $667.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bill, any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Unanimous? Item D, 26-27, proposed line item transferred by the Director of Finance, Town Manager Harrington.
So as you know, we have a couple of new officers. Last year, we took a big commitment from this board that unlocked, I think, roughly $13,000 to get all of our police officers trained on boater safety and the boater course to allow more patrols up at the lake. We obviously have new officers, so we are looking at moving money within the police department budget from the physical fitness program to training and education, post-recruit training, and boater instructing certification to get our newer officers up to speed on 2 of those trainings.
By recommendation of the town manager, I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the action step 26-27, budget transfer 2026-18, totaling $5,976.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Item 26-28, bid waiver, Soldiers Monument flashing repair, Town Manager Harrington.
I had the pleasure of going back up to Soldiers Monument on Memorial Day weekend. We're talking about the arch just as you're approaching Soldiers Monument. We could do this in piecemeal, right? We could do each particular section, which would be below the bid threshold, but the Soldiers Monument Commission did approach me to say, Paul, we want to use this company. We do want to knock off the $27,620 money that we have in our capital account for repairs of anything up at Soldiers Monument. They have worked with Allstate in the past. You can see some of the photos that they do. What we're looking to do is nothing out of the ordinary. We're looking for a bid waiver to just go with Allstate to do the repairs that are necessary for Soldiers Monument, to keep that monument as pristine as Soldiers Monument Commission keeps that. They do a wonderful job up there. We are just looking for a bid waiver in the amount of $27,620 to go with Allstate to get the work done.
Do we have a motion?
I move that the Board of Selectmen waive the town's standard bidding and procurement requirements in the best interest of the town and authorize the town manager to execute an agreement or agreements with Allstate Waterproofing Company Incorporated.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Unanimous.
I'm sure Soldiers Monument Commission's very happy with that one.
Item F, 26-02, resolution of support for grant application for the Community Investment Fund 2030 Round 9 Rescue Plan and Letter of Support. Town Manager Harrington.
Thank you. So I mentioned it a little bit earlier. So SIF Round 9 becomes available in the not so distant future. What we're looking for is the ability to apply for $250,000. One of the things, looking down at SIF grants, we have gone out and we looked at SIF grants before, and we haven't been successful. And we have looked at other towns and looked at why they've been successful. The first thing they started is with a study. So here's another study, $250,000. SIF seems to like that. The fortunate news with this is I don't think we're going to have to go back to SIF in order to unlock money. As Selectman Hester and I stated, the Department of Environment Protection literally said, get the study and we will fund the rehabilitation of your sewer plant. This resolution is something that we need in order to apply the grant. It's authorizing the town to put in a request of $250,000. And there is a letter authorizing the mayor to sign that we can submit with our application as well. And because we thought long and hard, so the rescue plan is rehabilitation and engineering study of critical utility equipment. Came up with a clever title, rescue.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous?
Thank you. Yeah, you sign this one.
Item G, lights blue, yellow, blue, right? Item G, potentially set fiscal year 27 mill rate or budget discussions. Thank you for everyone that voted on the budget. We have a budget, so let's talk about the mill rate. Town Manager Harrington.
As you know, the residents came out and approved an overall budget, the appropriation and the expenditure. I'm passing down a motion right now. That appropriated budget, as we've discussed as a board, equals 30 mills exactly. I would need a motion that's being passed out to you to set, and then also the mayor has a quote-unquote warrant from the tax collector that then allows her to go out with the bill dates of roughly July 1st and January 1st when bills are due, at a mill rate of 30.
I move that the town of Winchester set the fiscal year 2026-2027 mill rate at 30.00 mills, effective for the assessment year commencing October 1st, 2025, and for the collection of taxes during fiscal year 2026 and 2027, in accordance with the adopted municipal budget and applicable provisions of the Connecticut General Statutes.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have a discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Unanimous?
And I can speak as this is going around to get signatures. The tax collector is very happy that the bills can go out on time, because it does create a little bit of an issue in the office when bills can't go out on time. If you have any ideas, we do put an insert in to tax bills. We do front and back. If you could come back with any particular ideas, one of the areas that we're gonna hit, we're gonna obviously advertise Everbridge, let residents know who haven't signed up to sign up for Everbridge. We'll remind them what we did last year is a QR code where they scan it, it actually puts the second payment on their calendar. We just started talking about it because obviously we got the budget approved on Saturday, but if you have any ideas of something that could go in the insert, it's a very inexpensive way to hit every possible business owner and resident, because you're hitting them with the bill anyway, so you might as well add a little insert in there. So if anybody has any creative ideas, feel free to email, call me, let us know what you're thinking, and we can potentially add it to the insert that we have. Excellent, thank you.
All right, before we go to executive session, since she's standing here right now, I'd like to recognize and congratulate Officer Lusevsky.
Good luck.
Thank you. And I thought mine was bad. For being selected the first quarter 2026 BOLO Program Employee of the Quarter. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And with that, can we have a motion for executive session to discuss?
Gotta let him finish.
To discuss regarding personnel contracts and discussion of 281 Walnut Street, taking with us Town Manager Harrington.
Second.
So moved.
At 8:53, all in favor?
We will be no more than probably 5 minutes. I don't see it being lengthy, it's just a
We're back from executive session at 9:13 PM. We have no action to take. Item 12, citizens' comments. The board welcomes public comments. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. May speak once. Please give your name and address. Who would like to speak? Anyone? Blaine, just turn the mic on.
Yep.
Yep.
Alrighty, perfect. Let me do that. Definitely was a lovely day today. Perfect clear skies, and hoping it stays like that. But so, my name is Blaine O'Mara, 1187 Sawmill Hill Road, and what a year it has been. And I say this very much as I'm burnt out mentally with my autism. What went on this year in pattern-wise was kind of like last year, and we still are losing more special ed teachers and paras. And like I said, especially now, as many of the special ed kids have to go through life and try to do the best they can to help themselves to calm themselves in the case of overstimulation or burnout like I am, it becomes important that we have parents and special ed students. So, and I feel like there are many Board of Selectmen that don't truly understand what it means to be autistic, what our lives are like day after day, because unfortunately it's not a cure. There's no cure with autism. It's our entire lives, 525,600 minutes of trying to get ourselves going through life the best we can while helping ourselves mental health wise. So I feel like there definitely needs to be a lot more education with neurodivergence, not just with town citizens, but our elected officials, and because we are becoming a great town with a possible future with many things coming to Winstead, and we definitely need those who can speak on this subject. And the best way that we can talk about autism and to spread that awareness to not just our students, but to our citizens as well, is to have speakers who have gone through and have autism like I do. So I've been working well with our superintendent, Julie Luby, trying to find ways of making our schools better, being a place that is a sanctuary for many neurodivergents, both in their pre-K to their senior. Because at the end of the day, they deserve an equal opportunity to be part of this school system. They shouldn't have to go out of district like Bristol or Torrington. And at the end of the day, if that's what it comes down to, you'll find that the out of district cost is going to only increase by next year. So I feel that more awareness of autism for our students and citizens needs to be, spread the word of. And honestly, like I said before, if you want to understand more about autism, I am happy to do once a month doing like a PowerPoint and speak on this subject, talk about my journey with autism. And I'm sure if I'm able to step up and talk about my journey with autism, many more can step up too and share their stories about their journeys with autism. Because at the end of the day, if you only know one person with autism, you only know one person with autism, because it is a spectrum. And so, like our town, it needs to expand and needs to grow for all people of Winstead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Item 13, Selectmen's comments and reports. Anyone?
I got a couple things.
Sorry.
First thing, I was talking with someone about the Economic Development Committee they have signs that were made, and they've been sitting at the town garage for businesses. They've been done for a while, so I wanna know if you could get that going.
What exactly are the signs? Is it
Were
first time?
there the signs for the walking tour, maybe?
No.
Was it the Wayfair? No, the
It's
Wayfair's
for,
on.
it
That's
says
Wayside
antiques,
signs.
antique stores, they're supposed to go on into Route 8 or whatever, and they've been sitting there, so.
Oh, you mean the road signs?
Road signs, yep. They're supposed to go around town, so to, help our businesses.
So EDC made the signs.
They purchased them,
They
they've been
purchased
in the town garage, no one's put them up. I'm
That's
surprised
right,
they haven't.
because I talk to
Surprised they haven't come to
EDC
you and
often,
said
yeah,
that.
and, I mean, everyone knows, but
That's what
that's
I was
just the
told, so it was
first
just-
I'm hearing any of that, but EDC road signs install. I will find that out. This is the first I'm hearing this, so.
And then second, I'd like to task the board with maybe appointing a commission on studying cost-saving measures, to the town for each department. Like, you know, ways that we could, maybe save money in the school system, maybe save money, in the public works department. You know, people that are accountants, somebody that has, you know, it wouldn't be anybody from the board, it would be members of the public that have ideas that could help us with our budget and maybe, you know, come up with out-of-the-box thinking on ways to save money to help the taxes. I don't know if anybody's interested in that, but.
Isn't that my job?
Yeah, that is your job.
I'm just wondering,
That is the
are you
job
looking to
of all
replace me?
the-
I just have to ask.
It's the job of every head of every division,
Yeah.
your job, the superintendent's
Well, you
job,
can't,
the
you're
finance
not
director's
involved
job.
in everything, so.
Yeah,
You're
he
not
kinda
involved.
is.
Yeah.
It's not the school, right?
And the
So,
finance
Well,
directors apply to that too, you know, we got people for that already.
well, I'm just thinking outside the box where, you know, there's cost savings out there that maybe somebody else will think of.
I mean, and I may be stepping in, and I think I did that during the presentation at Gilbert, where we talked about, you know, the gas prices that we locked in the day after Thanksgiving. We talk about, even though a budget is approved, Dr. Levy, I'm gonna speak for her, I'm gonna speak definitely for myself. We don't necessarily say, oh, let's go spend all that money. We constantly look for cost-saving measures every single day. So I hope you're not looking to replace me and bring in a commission, because that's what it sounds
Well,
like.
maybe, who knows?
So I had to speak up, because I don't know if my wife was watching or not, but, you know, tough conversation when I got home.
Your contract is up, right?
Yeah, your contract is up,
It's kind of what I do every day.
Okay. And the third thing I wanted to say is, Cheryl, how we make it out with the garbage thing?
Well, I'm not in charge of it, it was
Oh,
my
I thought you
idea,
were
we
in charge of
proposed,
it.
No, we,
Oh,
I proposed
This is
it.
my job
we
tonight.
approved it
I
and
told
sent
you
it to
that.
Paul.
I proposed it, we, you know, we put it on the agenda, it got approved, now it's on the town manager's lap. I know,
Again, my job again.
I know, I signed up.
We do have one business, and she mentioned it just
business?
now, so I can tell you that Second Home has graciously helped come up with the program, but also was the first. EDC, again, they're gonna start pitching it as well. We have it advertised, obviously, on our social media pages and our website as well. Currently, we have one, but it starts with one,
okay.
so. I love the idea.
I think it's a great idea, I just like to see it get done.
You could walk every business with a
Tired
flyer
of
on the
things
weekend.
being talked about around here and not getting done, so.
Well, walk every business and talk to them about what a great idea is.
Well, I'm not gonna be in charge of it, so.
We'll hire a commission. Let's create it. I'm sorry, I'm talking. Oh, wait.
I think everybody's starting to get a little tired.
Any other?
One
Yes,
more
I do.
thing. Is it anybody gonna fix the, walking sidewalk at the spillways this year? Is that getting done?
It's in the budget.
It was in Jimmy's
And it
report.
was in Jimmy's report.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
So,
You gotta-
I've heard it said that, and I'm sad that so many people have left, because I was hoping we'd still have a lot of folks. The problem with our agenda is the selectmen don't get to make any comments until everybody goes home. Or they shut off YouTube because of executive sessions. I don't like our schedule, Paul, but anyway. They say government's a messy business, and we sure saw that in the last several months, right? We went through a very emotional and difficult budget season this year for everybody sitting up here, because trust me, we all lost sleep about this budget, and for everybody that's at home, whether you are a parent or a person in town without kids, you went through a very emotional budget. And I watched, and it was remarkably quiet up until about 4 days before the referendum. There were no signs around town to vote yes or no. That's a first that I've ever seen. There was very little chatter on social media until the few days before the referendum. And I watched all the comments. And it kind of drove me crazy because people were still so upset about the perceived cuts to education without really taking a hard look at how it all worked out in the end. So when the increase got to us, yes, the Board of Selectmen reduced the increase by $1 million. After that, however, Gilbert came to the table with a $300,000 reduction on their part, which enabled Winsted Public to have that $300,000. The state miraculously came in with $320,000. So of the $1 million we cut, $620,000 came back, and there's more than $400,000 in the rainy day fund that the Board of Ed has, which they can take $380,000 out of. So they're back to the $1 million that they started with when it got to us. So all the doomsday and scary comments about all the cuts that were going to happen, frankly, what we managed to do, and the state was lucky. I'm not going to take credit for the $320,000. That was lucky. But we enabled a budget that stayed right about the rate of inflation for our taxpayers. So whether you had kids in school or didn't have kids, you had a budget that hopefully you can afford. And at the end of the day, we essentially, or the amount of money that came to us was restored. So would love to have still had the crowd of folks here to have that discussion with, because I think it's important that they understand that that $1 million, well, most of it came back, and the rest we have in the rainy day fund. So all in all, a difficult budget. I hope the process goes much cleaner next year, clearly, for everybody's sake, because it's no fun for all of you, and it's clearly no fun for all of us. I hope we have a much better time with the budget next year. But I wanted to get those numbers out because I think that math is important for everybody to understand that education really wasn't decimated. It didn't get everything it wanted, but it really wasn't decimated.
Well, I think the people that lost their jobs, the students that aren't going to have, certain resources or would disagree with you, and the fiscal cliff that was created by using funds in the manner that you just did the math for. But you also didn't indicate, there's $1.5 million was cut from that budget. I'm not totally.
$1 million came to us, Cheryl. The $500,000 was the Board of Ed's cut, so let's be fair.
And if you let me finish, if
fair.
I let you talk, please let me finish my statement. Seems to be a habit on this board of talking on top of me. So yes, but it was $1.5 million. It's $1 million from us and $500,000 from the Board of Ed. So there were significant cuts were made. The only position that has been saved through use of the rainy day fund, as I understand, is the resource officers, because those were very significant. They haven't been able to use the whole fund because that would be fiscally irresponsible. Something that members of this board have accused the Board of Ed of being fiscally responsible over the years by creating fiscal cliffs. So for you now to argue that a fiscal cliff was responsible to restore losses that's just beyond. Look, temper's got to go down. It was very emotional. It's very upsetting. Our students deserve a lot. Everyone on this board knows how I feel about education, the importance to the town. But, I don't think what was just said was productive towards that end, because we've had one parent sit up here and explain how much this budget has now already impacted her, okay? And it's impacted other parents. So it's not that everything's been restored. It's not, and that's disingenuous to make that argument. So I think what we really want to do is try to make sure that people out there, please get involved early. not late. Help us, you know, get involved, show up at Board of Ed meetings, show up at these meetings, join some commissions, do what you can to help, because, you know, we're volunteers here. We get this small stipend that I believe we're going to be ending, but through the commission, Charter Review Commission. But other than that, you know, we're all volunteers. I volunteered for 6 years on the Board of Ed. You know, it's a lot of work. We're all trying to do the best we can, but we need help. And you need to have a voice and not just 1,000 people that show up to vote on the budget. Thank you.
So speaking of budgets, the town passed and the school has their money. Unhappy as everyone seems to be, there's still 2 more budgets that have to be passed, and that's the water and sewer departments, which is 2 separate budgets. They haven't even gotten theirs yet. That's coming, and that is also in the town manager's wheelhouse, so to speak. So there's still water and sewer budgets that have to be passed. So that's also coming up too. So, and as you saw, we're going after some money with the sewer plant. The sewer plant is in rough shape, really rough shape. There hasn't been any major work in over 30 years. Worse than Pearson School, worse than their boiler. They have more issues down there than you can shake a stick at. They're on borrowed time, and they're really hurting. Water's doing good. Sewer, not so good. Pun intended, it's sinking. So, just wanted to throw that out there.
Bill, anything? Yep.
Starting with something a little more fun, I just wanted to say that I had the opportunity on Sunday to go to the Little Red Schoolhouse, which I don't think most people in town know is here. And in fact, it was, I just happened to see that it was open. It's only open on very specific days, but it was really interesting to go and see this tiny little schoolhouse in the woods in Winchester Center. And I was talking to the people there. They were talking about funding, and in the documents, at this little schoolhouse, people were arguing in the 1840s about the funding for this one room. So this is something as old as time.
Post office wars all over again.
And there was literally a room where like there was a desk with 3 sections, and it got bigger. They were all attached, like 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade. It literally was one thing that got bigger, and people were arguing over like how much wood should be given to this stove in this Little Red Schoolhouse. So first point being, go see the Little Red Schoolhouse when it's open. Follow on Facebook. It's really, really cool and important part of our history. Second, regarding the budget, there is a lot of high emotions, and it's very clear that our board interacts with, you know, different groups of people in town. And that's, you know, that's a good thing that we represent, you know, different groups, different interests in town. But I do think a lot of people on this board not being involved in the schools, not having kids in schools, don't actually get to interact often with the parents. And you're seeing parents and families and those with children on Facebook and stuff because they're trying to say something. They're trying to get a point across that, you know, kids aren't just a number. We don't just add them up. You know, people are losing their jobs. Preschool is now, there's not enough spaces for everybody, and some of those have to pay. This has real world implications, and we just have different points of view. I believe that we need to invest in the future. If we want all the great things, we paint in such a rosy picture. I think that if you are someone who is not connected to the world of the children in the schools, you just don't understand that it really is true. It's not just rhetoric when we say that, you know, the schools are the center of the community and that, you know, investing in them helps us invest and grow the whole town. It is real. Every study, every story that you hear, we heard some stories tonight. We heard lots of stories. And, you know, emotions have been high. Things landed where they did. And in fact, it was the group of parents. I know myself more than 100 parents I can count that really wanted to vote no, but they knew the right thing to do for our town was to vote yes and support this budget. And it passed by a lot. And, you know, I thank parents and I thank the supporters of education for coming to that conclusion and, you know, just making it work. I thank Dr. Luby for making it work with the way things landed. We got to move on. We got to actually do all the great things we talked about here tonight. And as we do them, we always have to consider that our 1,000 plus children are the future of our town, and we cannot forget them.
I absolutely agree, and I think there's a disconnect between our two schools, the Winchester Public School and the Gilbert School. I think there's a major disconnect because they are all part of the system. And I think that's some of the biggest problem too, is there has been a lack of communication between superintendents or Board of Education members, and I know there's some that are on the Board of Education for the Winchester Public Schools, and the same people are on the Gilbert School. And I think there's a major, major disconnect there, because they should be working together hand in hand, and I saw nothing but throw under the bus, and Gilbert this, and Winchester that, and it's all one thing. It's the post office wars. It's arguing over what piece of wood to throw into the fire to keep everybody warm. It's really that's one of the, besides economic growth or grand list growth, it's the school systems. I've heard that time and time and time again. We need to be working together. So I'm tasking both Board of Educations, the superintendents, let's start opening some doors and open some communication here, because that's some of the biggest issue, because we're all together. It's the same kids that are WPS are going to Gilbert unless they go to Oliver Wolcott. It's all the same. There should be a smooth transition for these kids, and I don't see it. They had to make cuts, and they lost some of these special ed people up there because they gave up money for the Winchester schools. So that is something I've heard for years, as long as the post office wars, ever since Gilbert created. And Gilbert's doing some fantastic things up there. I was just up there at their ceremony that they did. Thank you, the scholarships. And they gave out over $100,000 worth of scholarships to kids. There was scholarship after scholarship after scholarship. That didn't come out of any taxpayers' money. That was the trust. They just got $4 million grant to fix their driveway. That didn't come out of taxpayers' money. So Gilbert's doing a lot of good things, and they need to be working hand in hand. The Board of Selectmen have nothing to do with the school systems. I said it, I got crucified, it's a line item. Yes, and I realize it's children. My daughter went through this school. Troy went through, the mayor went through, Jay Case went through the school systems. But it seems like Winchester School's treating Gilbert like it's just a line item, and it's not. It's all the kids together. We have to work together, and that's what I saw. Besides all the Facebook rhetoric, was the schools. The schools need to work together. I know there's a study being done. I don't think it's financially feasible or to build another one. I don't think we should be sending them to other schools, to regional or anywhere else. We need to work with what we have. That's what you just do. So there's my sermon, so to speak. But I really think that's what really needs to happen. Is I said it at the town meeting at Gilbert. I said it twice. The three of them, the superintendents, the town manager, the chairman of both boards, both chairmans, I even have people in mind, need to sit down and discuss and make this work for the people and especially the students of this town. And I would be nowhere without an education. Math and science were my worst subjects, worst. And I went to trade school, worst. You know what I do for a living? Math and science. So education, super, super important without a doubt. I'm done. Sorry, I know everybody wants to get out of here.
All right, so I just have a few more things. One, just to make the statement factual that was made earlier in citizens' comments, just to clarify, we have 11,000 residents, we have 6,500 voters, not 11,000 voters. 1,000 people, over 1,078 people came out to vote. That's not a great percentage. We need more people to be involved in everything, in elections, in referendums, boards and commissions. There is a lot of talk on social media, and it's very easy to talk tough behind a screen. I give the people that make comments on Facebook, but then they're in this room talking, they're speaking at the table, giving their opinions. That's what we need more of. You know, we can sulk on what got cut or what didn't get cut, what moved forward, we're at the point now where we need to come together as one Winsted and move forward so we can get the grand list growing. Talking about social media and people making comments and then staying, in the shadows. Come to the board meeting. Sit there at the table and talk. I've had some shots taken at me the last 2 or 3 months. I'm not gonna censor you. Come here and say it in this room. Don't post it on Facebook. Don't make your claims and your accusations and your quote-unquote threats. Come in this room, be respectful, say it, let everyone hear it. Anne Marie touched on this a little bit last meeting, but can you put in your town manager's report next time our process for the credit cards, the credit card approvals? Just so everyone is aware what goes through when somebody uses a town credit card. And then lastly, Saturday the 13th, Laurel Ball, Crystal Peak. Tickets are still available in the town clerk's office, I believe, correct? It's a good time, fun night, and it goes to support some scholarships. With that,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor? Good night. See you at the Laurel Ball.
Can you do me a favor? Can you grab that one in the public comment? Please, thank you. You're all coming up to the office, we'll get you in and out.
One at a time.
No, just don't discuss business. Discuss business.